What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be previewing round 10. It's Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn for Sir Doug Nicholls round, for a very special round celebrating Indigenous and First Nations cultures, and we'll be wearing a special Indigenous round Guernsey as well. It's all been designed by Byron Pickett. It's going to be a special event this Sunday at the Adelaide Oval, 2:50 p.m. prime time Sunday. We haven't had a time slot for that in a while. We're playing against the Hawks, who are coming off a couple of good wins in a row, so plenty to talk about in this one. I'm looking forward to this game because I reckon it's going to be a pretty exciting affair. So let's get straight into it and preview round 10. I can't believe it's round 10. It doesn't feel like round 10. It feels like we've been only chugging along for the first few rounds of the year. But here we are back at the Adelaide Oval after a great win against the Cats. And this week, whilst we have an 8-day break coming into this one, there's plenty to talk about and a lot to come up, particularly on the selection table. So we'll get into that shortly. But the Hawks are coming into this one. They're sitting very nicely after a couple of good wins in a row, beating St Kilda down in Tassie. And then also the week prior, they bet the Dogs at Marvel. So a good couple of results for them. They've definitely proven that they can be a plucky team and definitely one to look out for. Not one to take really lightly. I wouldn't say they'll set the world on fire. They have their lower moments, definitely, but as a young side, they've got a lovely, promising future ahead, I think. So I'm definitely wary of what they can produce this weekend, but it's a lot to play for. I do think that this week's game is something where we have to really rein it in again and really focus on what we can control and what we can improve on. Especially after last week's game, we came in as severe underdogs. We played our brand of footy and set the world on fire in the first half. And I think making that a bit more consistent across the game will be something that we definitely do this week and something we should focus on. And maybe we definitely choose our moments to go, because I reckon we spent a lot of petrol tickets last week in the first half and tried to almost nurse the game home towards the end, and we did that, and you can't really do that against the Cats at the Cattery. So we ended up getting the result, which was great. And I think this week's game, definitely with a different kind of opposition. We've got to be wary of Hawks though, because we played them against back in 2022 at the Adelaide Oval, and they surprised us last year as well. We had a fantastic first half. It was pretty much the story like last week, and in the end they came back and nearly scored 100 points against us, and we only ended up winning by 55 in the end after leading by almost 90. So I think this week is something we've got to definitely focus on again in producing that kind of affair. And this one's going to be broadcasted to the national stage as well on Channel 7. So I think we've got to put up a good performance and let people know that we're capable of not only surprising a few top teams, but we get the job done and be ruthless against the bottom half teams, and I think we have to do that this week. A little bit of a focus on Hawthorn. I think they've got a couple of key players that they are looking to come back. Sicily is definitely one of them, and Mabar Chol as well. So last week they didn't have a lot of forward power. They still managed to kick a winning score somehow, and 58 was a winning score. A couple of key big ins, and Sicily is the main in. I think if he gets up and is fit, is one of those factors that he'll sit there, and he definitely plays a huge part in their defensive lineup and as a leader, and definitely stands up for the Hawks. And I think as you add that with Mabar Chol, who can be quite plucky in the air and kick a 2 or 3 goal game. They don't have the big firepower up forward, I think, but they're still capable of scoring a decent score to win a game of footy. And I think this week definitely poses a question for our defence. So definitely one to look out for there. But overall, other than that, they have some great youngsters. They obviously have the returning Port Adelaide players of Impey and Carl Amon as well. So it's good to have them back in Indigenous round. I think it's very, very special for them to be back at the Adelaide Oval. And, we always, I think, welcome those players back with open arms in a way. We don't really have a negative opinion of those players, so definitely be nice to have them back as well. And it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out, because it's going to be a very, very interesting clash, but I also think it will be an exciting one. So I'm keen to see how this one pans out. Sunday Arvo footy as well. It's very, very exciting. Turn my head to selection, and just before I get into that, it's funny how a week is a long time in footy. This time last week we were going into the Cats game, doom and gloom. We just come out of a showdown loss, and now we're coming into this one with high expectations of winning big, and come off a great win against Geelong, and some are calling it the best win of the season, and definitely should build a lot of confidence for us. And we have an 8-day break, which it proves massive for us. So coming off of quite a few 6-day breaks, and then the showdown we had another 8-day, and this one's an 8-day again. So actually it's a 9-day break if you think about it. So big breaks in between, getting a lot of rest in. It gives a lot of opportunity for players who are injured. I speak of Jace Burgoyne and Connor Rosie more importantly. The captain. Does Kenny risk them this week? Look, I think they're both facing tests, but I don't see a point in playing them. If they get up and they're okay, I know, near 17 days onwards from the showdown, if they get up and they feel okay, then by all means. But we play North Melbourne away in Tassie next week. I think having that extra week will do no harm. Give them a game against North, back into preparation, and then we have a big game against Carlton a couple of weeks after that. So that will be my focus with them, and if that is the case, I think we go in unchanged. I know Jordan Sweet was ill and didn't get the chance to play last week. Would be ruining the opportunity, because I think Dante definitely deserves his chance to stay in the game again, playing against Lloyd Meek, so another opposition ruckman who's building his case as well at AFL level. So I think in that aspect, Dante gets another opportunity. Gets a chance to prove himself. We have the caliber. We saw it last week. We're able to stand up in moments. It'd be interesting to see if Dixon plays this week. I know subbed out last week and had that ankle issue, but I think a 9-day break will do him wonders. That could be the only opportunity Sweet gets his chance to come back in, is if Dixon doesn't play. But then again, Ollie Lord played last week, and so I'm interested to see how we pan out with this selection this week. And whilst we'll have a 25-man squad, or 27-man squad, or whatever it is these days, on Thursday, Friday will be the interesting task. So I'm interested to see what the table does to select this week. But regardless, I think they're the only major changes that would be made if it come up. My tip for this week is Port Adelaide by I'm going to tip them by 40 points. I think a nice solid 40-point win, a 7-goal win, somewhere around that mark is probably the achieving task this week. Anything higher is great for percentage. Anything lower, you're sort of going into the expectation of, are we just getting the job done? And I think we should be, really on the game this week, especially with that 9-day break against a team like Hawthorn, who are young, still finding their way and can be found to be inconsistent, but I'm still very wary of them. So 40-point margin is around the mark for me. And I'm just keen to get back to the Adelaide Oval and celebrate Indigenous round. Obviously the Guernsey this week, designed, as I mentioned, by Byron Pickett, which is amazing. Looks very nice, very fresh, and playing a Hawthorn outfit who equally have a great looking Guernsey as well. So make sure you get down there, plenty of activities and game day stuff happening as well. And I'm very keen to see everyone there, and hopefully Port Adelaide get the job done, because this is another crucial game. This would take us to a 7th win, and every win counts, especially with the fixture being announced for the remaining year. And it's very, very, it's top heavy, isn't it? So all these wins count, and all the percentage counts in any way. So I'm keen to see this weekend, and hopefully I'll see you there too. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. Leave a comment below on your thoughts for this week's game against the Hawks. Once again, I look forward to seeing you at the Adelaide Oval. Thank you very much once again for watching. My name's Anthony, and as always, count the pair.